wife and I own this empty lot. It's next door to our house, and it has never drained well from the day we put the street in. We had to put the street kind of high so it would drain to the main street, and that kind of blocked this up. So I've been getting a little bit of dirt now and then from my friends still in the construction business, and I can borrow a bobcat, which kind of knocks it down pretty flat, but not flat enough to really have a lawn. And I could pay somebody to come grade this out, but the way I plan on doing this, with adding a load or two every now and then in a vain attempt not to kill those trees, I would just as soon be able to spread it with a bobcat, which I can get, or a skid steer, or with whatever the proper terminology is. And I would like to be able to have a little grader to finish grade it. So I'm going to make a little grade box for my rod mower, and my goal is not to move a lot of dirt, but to move just the right amount of dirt to cut the tops off of the bumps, and to take that dirt and move it and fill the holes. So usually when I start a new project, I go to YouTube and look at what all the smart people are doing, and I will incorporate all the good things on the different ones I can find and incorporate them into my substandard materials and my marginal working ability, and I'll come out with my own version, which is what this video is going to be about. This is my mower, and I just recently installed this little skid plate on the side, the one that's painted gray, and I put a new wheel on it for the third time. These little plastic wheels, the way this thing's designed, when you're cutting close to something on the side, the plastic wheel is the bumper. And if you're cruising along cutting grass and you hit something like a fence post or a root or a piece of a driveway or something, the whole mower comes to a complete stop, and it all is absorbed with this plastic wheel, which just can't take it. It cracks and breaks, and the little attachment point bends. So I've beefed up the attachment point, and I added this little skid bar, which is a very hard steel, almost like a spring steel. I'm hoping that's going to protect that wheel a little bit from my inattentiveness when I'm cutting grass. I've got this wear edge from a, I don't know what it's off of, a dozer or a motor grader or something. Any equipment company or heavy construction company, this is a consumable. This is a wear item. They take them off when they wear, before the wear gets to the bucket, or if you're doing fine grading, when it gets a little curve in the middle, especially if you live in an area with rocks in the soil. These things wear out pretty fast, and they change them, and most of them end up in the scrap iron bin, so they're probably free for the asking. I got this one free, but I had connections at the construction company. I bought this electric actuator on eBay. It looked much bigger in the picture, but it works. It goes up and down, and it has a fair amount of power. It's pretty slow, but I'm going to start off using this, and if the grader box works and I use it, I can upgrade. My first step is to cut this blade down to the width of the mower, out to out, and this will make it a little lighter. This thing's super heavy. So with this cutting blade, cut shorter is a whole lot more manageable. And I got a bar that I'm going to use for the drawbar, and I drilled a hole in it to match this hitch in the mower. I'm going to have to probably double up the hitch in the mower. It's kind of flimsy. I'm going to take the drawbar and cut a little notch in it and slip it over the top of this blade and see what kind of weld I can get. I know the blade is really hard. Okay, I got the main beam tacked. I don't have it welded out because I'm not real sure about everything yet. But I brought it out and hooked it back up to check my turning radius. should not be a problem. That should be fine. Now cut 2 angles as braces. Go here. That'll be the next stop. We'll go back to the welding bench and I'll weld those on. So right now, well, when I weld it, everything's just tacked. I think I have enough strength for pulling it, but I have no strength for this thing wanting to roll and pop these welds. And I don't care who welds it, there's no way. So I think my next step is to put this angle up here and weld it. And this is a bed frame, so it's tempered. It's pretty strong. So I'll put the cross angle and I finished welding everything out. I put this little short angle and I have a piece of flat steel. This would be my end plate. This does 2 things. This captures some dirt on the inside to kind of hold it, and it will be the brace to keep the cutting edge from bending backwards. Now by itself it's not strong enough. I'm going to have to put some sort of frame on the inside of it. But this is the next step. I'm going to clamp it and tack it in place. Well, this took a while, and it was kind of ugly for a while. I ended up cutting a lot of my welds loose to get it to fit. I got it on there now. It slipped over the side plate. It'll hold the cutting bar securely. So I just need to weld it out now and do some grinding and sanding. So what happened was there's a nut and a washer on the back side of this thing, and the nut was just spinning. So I had to take some sheet metal loose and the end plates off, and I think I can get to the back now and get it properly tight, so I don't really have a problem. Just took a minute. Getting this pipe on there and getting it to fit right and having it match up with the cutting edge and the angle at the top, and most importantly to have the right side match the left side. It took a little doing. It was quite a bit trickier than I would have guessed in the beginning. I ended up cutting it in half and then cutting some of the other welds so it'd be a little more flexible. And I did a lot of measuring back and forth. I want to make sure that when I drag this thing, I'm shaving the same amount of dirt on one side as the other. I don't want it to cut it taper, but in the end I got it. It's pretty darn close. It's within an 1/8 inch from one side to the other. I think that's more than adequate. Pair of wheels that I had, they're kind of marginal for this application. They're not very heavy duty, and the bearings are not sealed, so they definitely will probably get dirt and sand in them and quit working. But I'm going to use them, make sure this thing is going to work, and make sure I use it. And later on we can replace these wheels with something a little bit better. For the axles, I had some galvanized all-thread rod. That's what I'm using. Probably not ideal, but again, we'll see if this thing works, so we can always upgrade later on. And it fits through 1/2 inch galvanized water pipe, or at least it fits through most of my 1/2 inch galvanized water pipe. I have a few pieces that it's the ID of the pipe is a little small and it won't go through there, which is kind of strange. I always thought all water pipe was the same size, but it's not. Okay, so that's full extension, and there's a built-in limit switch, but I don't think I can adjust it. So I need to mount this so that when it's fully extended, I'm not in a bind right here. I need to carefully locate the bracket. Everything is working. I cut the tail off shorter so it's not in the way anymore. Remove my homemade clip up here and put the clip that came with the cylinder. I forgot they came with a clip. and I have a clip here, and in order to keep the cylinder from hitting this, I had to raise it with a piece of rectangular and box steel, and in order to keep it from slipping around when I was trying it, I had to go ahead and tack weld a little piece of square stock. I got it clamped. It'll go all the way up without getting in a bind, and when it goes all the way down, the built-in limit switch turns it off with a little bit of crack right here. So it's all good. I'm going to take it back apart, weld it out, close these ends, because the freaking paper wasps around here will find any kind of hole. Like, they'll get in a hole like that and make a little nest, and then you'll go messing around with the thing and they'll fly out and put the hurt on you. So I'll weld this end solid and clean it up and paint it. We're all painted up. Boy, that heavy body paint, I've said it before, sure makes my welds look better. I didn't paint the blade because it's pretty darn pitted, but I guess I could have. And this is the other piece, and when it dries, we'll bring her home and check it out. This is the switch that came with the actuator, and I just clamped it to my control, and I got 12 volt coming from the battery. I need to add a fuse. The wire from the battery to the switch is a good marine wire. The other wires are not permanent. I need to get some marine wire, which is real flexible. And I just put a receptacle there, so when I need to drop it, I just unplug it. And well, here we are. Basically, just driving it around helps tremendously because the blade knocks high spots down and drops some of the dirt into low spots. But because the machine is only 40 inches wide and only a foot in length, it tends to follow the hills up and down. So to correct for that, you got to pay a little attention, grab some dirt, and raise the blade when you get to a low spot with a little switch and deposit the dirt in the low spots. And it takes a little practice, but it works. I think what will happen is we'll wait for rain to settle it down and we'll start again when it dries out. Thanks for watching.